All right, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending where you are in the world. I turn up the volume there. What we're going to be doing today is I'm going to introduce you to three of the articles I'll be talking about today. And just want to make sure it's still recording. Before I do that, we'd like to let you know this is for review, informational, and educational purposes. It's not to take the credit for the intellectual property of this article and each article. I'll repeat the disclaimer just to make sure that the publisher in this case gets full credit for the intellectual property, in which case is in Investor Place. The story by John Blenkenhorn. Headline reads, The Future of Work 3, Three Ways Automation and AI Will Change the Job Market. Here we have a picture here of someone working with their laptop in a remote area, looks like. Copyright Alicia Kutanovia / Shutterstock, if I pronounced her name correctly. His name. The Future of Work, Three Ways Automation and AI Will Change the Job Market. And we have a picture here of fiber optic plugged into a switch, I believe. And that's copyrighted, provided by Investors Place. I won't read the full caption, which you can do if you want. Next picture is copyright JawsNet / Shutterstock, three big data stocks to prosper in the intelligence economy. And I have that in quotes, intelligence economy. Copyright provided by Investors News. A stock image of a person working on data charts using a futuristic computer. And here what you see is a series of switches and routers. Well, switches and servers. I can only see from this picture, and it's probably from a data center, I would guess. All right. Here's three main points from this article. This is really short. I'll do is this short. Musk's Project Orange may be set to mint millionaires. Here's how to get in. ChatGPT IPO stock could shock the world. Make this before the announcement. The rich use the income's secret, and what they put in parentheses, not capital letters NOT, dividends for more than regular investors. And I didn't realize that was so short. I wasn't going to read the whole caption. Anyway, there is a related video you'll be able to access at publishing of this article only on Rumble, as YouTube does not allow people to put links in the comments section, even though it cites the source. So, just to let you know, it's only going to be for Rumble users. Let's go to the second article. Before I read the article, we'd like to let you know this is for review, informational, and educational purposes. Not to take the credit for the intellectual property of the article. Full credit to the intellectual property of the article goes to the publisher, which is a Sunday Morning Post. Story by Kushabu Razdan. I pronounced the person's name right. And to the headline. U.S. urged to work with technology leader China on transition to clean energy. I know about technology leader. A real technology leader is one who innovates, not one who copies or steals intellectual property. So, just expressing my opinion when I say that, and from what I've seen in the news, etc. So, you're free to make your own opinion on the matter, but that's the way I see it. The article reads, a year after the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, which contains over $300 billion in incentives and tax breaks to increase domestic manufacturing of electric vehicles and self-reliance in clean energy by 2032. Experts say that achieving the ambitious target requires working with Chinese, despite calls for cutting all cords with the world's EV giant. I can tell you, uh, maybe it'll, maybe it'll come up in the news there, but if you look on YouTube and probably on Rumble too, there's been lots of problems with the EVs over in China, namely that the batteries have been exploding. So, and you'd have some sort of like e-bike, and the battery would explode, and the explosion would create a fire, and then the fire would spread to the next one, create an explosion, and it'd be like a chain reaction. And also with the EV cars too, some of their batteries, obviously I'm not saying all, some of the batteries have been exploding too. So right now they're not to be relied upon. Just to let you know about that. And you can see it if you look around YouTube. I'm not making it up. You look around YouTube, you can find it. Well, the Chinese are ahead of us in technology. They had production capacity we have not built. They had control over supplies that we do not have, and they know how to do it. They put the whole system together, says Kenneth Lieberthal, a senior fellow emeritus in the foreign policy program at the Brookings Institute, a think tank in Washington. He spoke on Wednesday during the Brookings panel discussion on the impact and progress of the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA, U.S. President Joe Biden's signature of climate legislation. Lieberthal warned that for, quote, the U.S. to go in and not deal with the Chinese is simply to delay our transition and our capacity to deal with these problems on our own. Unquote. It says, do you have any questions about the biggest topics and trends from around the world? Get the answers from SCMP Knowledge, our new platform of curated content with explainers, FAQs, analyses, and infographics brought to you by our award-winning team. He said the Biden administration recognizes very clearly that we have to develop our own capabilities, but it's going to take time. China, a global leader in EV technology and battery production capacity, extracts more than 75% of the world's graphite and processes over 80% of critical minerals like lithium, cobalt, and graphics supplies, all essential to EV battery manufacturing. The official Biden chose to oversee the execution of the IRA. John Podesta pitched the law's continuing progress on Wednesday. He said the U.S. was a quote completely different position unquote than when Biden took office, citing more than $135 billion in investment pledges by the private sector in the EV supply chain. While Podesta acknowledged China's dominance in supply chains for quote upstream clean energy technologies unquote as a result of the U.S. ceding ground to them for decades, letting jobs and factories go overseas. He said that Washington was quote rewriting the playbook, but has quote more ground to cover unquote. Global EV transition to accelerate further as battery costs slide. Here there is a related video to that. You'll be able to access upon the publishing of this article. It'll only be available on Rumble as links to the article is not allowed in the comments section on YouTube, so it'll only be available on Rumble. Well, that's why President Biden is investing in America, he said. Quote, it's why we're working with all our allies around the world, from the EU to South Korea, to secure reliable supplies of critical minerals. Citing opposition to U.S. automaker Ford's tech licensing deal with China's CATL and concerns raised by U.S. allies over the IRA, Lieberthal cautioned against protectionism. Well, if the Chinese have the capacity to dominate these industries, and we're just going to sit there and say, quote, well, we can't deal with any of them. We're going to sit down on our own, and we're going to have to fairly, we're going to be fairly protectionist on the way that we approach this. So even our friends and allies have concerns about how we're doing it. I think this multiplies our problems, unquote. You see a picture of this man, and it's copyright provided by South China Morning Post. John Podesta is President Joe Biden's senior advisor for clean energy innovation and implementation. Photo of the AFP. Also, we have a photo here. Copyright provided by the South China Morning Post. U.S. climate envoy John Kerry shakes hands with Chinese Vice President Hong Jung in the United Nations on September 19. Photo Xinhua via AP. At the time, at a time when competition between Beijing and Washington has narrowed the scope of cooperation, Biden officials have listed climate as an area where collaboration still seems possible. On Tuesday, U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai said it was important to pursue a policy of, quote, correction and rebalancing, un, uh, unquote, through the trade with China. Quote, we can't divorce China economically, so how do we also try to make this relationship work? And I also think that on climate, that should be an area of our interests that are aligned, unquote. She said, China and the United States are the world's two largest carbon emitters, and Biden has promised to cut emissions by 50 to 52% by the end of the decade. In 2021, Chinese leader Xi Jinping said the country would peak emissions by 2030 and become carbon neutral by 2060. Ooh, that's a new date. They originally said 2050, now it's 2060. Okay. Podesta called U.S. envoy John Kerry's visit to Beijing in July an attempt, quote, to stimulate more positive dialogue, unquote, but said the, quote, whole world, unquote, needed to pressure China to stop building new coal power plants and start retiring the old ones, unquote, now and not in the 2030s, unquote. Lieberthal, however, said the discussions on carbon reduction commitments were, quote, fruitless, unquote, because Beijing, quote, will do a lot on carbon reduction, on greenhouse gas emissions reduction, but they aren't going to do it because we are pushing them, unquote. But he added, quote, I deal with a lot of people in China who are technicians and serious players in other areas, and they're very anxious to cooperate with the United States, unquote. We have some more other articles you could read. One is China electric vehicles forges a growing political target for Republicans. Chinese EV battery maker Eve joins hands partners, including Daimler Truck, to set up a U.S. $2.6 billion U.S. plant. And for the latest news from the South China Morning Post, download our mobile app, copyright 2023. All right, so let's go to a third article. For the third article, before I read it, as a disclaimer, we'd like to let you know this is for review, informational, and educational purposes, not to take the credit for the intellectual property of the article. The full credit to the intellectual property of the article goes to Slash Gear, a story by Nadeem Sarwar. The headline reads, this tiny self-driving robot has no batteries that can run indefinitely. Here's why. And here's a picture of this device that's right on, so small it's on the tip of his, it's just like on his finger, towards the tip of his finger. And copyright Mark Stone / University of Washington. Millie Mobile on a finger. Here's the second picture. We have a couple of them, and one is so small it's like a third of the diameter of a branch, not a branch, a leaf. Copyright Mark Stone / University of Washington, Millie Mobile, robot on a leaf. And the third one, copyright Mark Stone / University of Washington, Millie Mobile, robot on a penny, so it's about the width of a penny, so it's not very wide, very small. All right, good. Now to the article itself. One of the biggest challenges when deploying robots at an industrial scale is their power requirement and ability to navigate spaces that would otherwise not be possible by conventional human-operated machines. In 2021, experts at the Zhejiang University developed a fish-inspired soft robot that was able to navigate the Mariana Trench. Wow. But subsequent exploration was held back by the limited capacity lithium-based battery fitted inside the robot and the challenges of withstanding such extreme conditions of temperature and pressure nearly at 10,000 meters below the sea level yet. It's the deepest, for the viewer here, for information. The Mariana Trench is the deepest place in any of the oceans or seas. It's the deepest place on Earth, in fact, that's in water. So 10,000 meters, they say 10,000 meters. So it's what, 3.2 feet to a meter? So it's 32,000 something feet. Is that right? 32,000 feet below the surface, not above, below. Okay, so the only way to get down that far is you have to be in a special ship that has special shielding that can withstand such water pressure. To give you an idea of what water pressure feels like, it's imagine if you're diving underwater. Let's say you're diving in a pool and you're about 5 or 6 feet. You can feel a little bit of water pushing down on you, right? That's what it is. If you go into an Olympic-sized pool, let's say it's 12 feet deep, right? You're really going to feel all that water pushing down. Well, that's the water pressure that I'm referring to. But it appears breakthroughs are happening fast, and the latest one is courtesy of experts at the University of Washington. Fittingly named Millie Mobile is a teeny robot is nearly the size of a penny and weighs as much as a raisin. According to the team behind the project, it's a remarkable piece of engineering. Despite its teeny size, it holds a ton of promise, especially in industrial as well as agricultural applications. Furthermore, it isn't relying on conventional sources of energy. Instead, it simply harnesses light around it to generate power. Oh, so it's solar power. The group behind Millie Mobile refers to it as, quote, a first of its kind battery free autonomous robot, unquote. One of the biggest achievements is that it manages actuation and motor without requiring an internal power source like a typical miniaturized battery. And it says, read more 12 smart gadgets you didn't know existed. And you see the picture we're talking about. It says, what can a gram scale robot accomplish? A Millie Mobile could seek out gas or chemical leaks, identify temperature differences in space, identify fires, seek out electromagnetic noise to find equipment malfunctions, or sense humidity and soil moisture on smart farms. Unquote. Co-lead author of the paper, Kyle Johnson, tells Slashgear, a doctoral student at the institution's Paul G. Allen School of Computer Science and Engineering. He says the team at work developing more complex algorithms for a cluster of Millie Mobile robots, turning them into a more effective sensing system. The robot, despite its teeny size and heft, is quite versatile. Quote, our robot can move a maximum of 5 millimeters per second, carry payloads of 3 times its weight, and move at a variety of surfaces ranging from concrete or carpet, unquote. The team writes in the research paper. The prototype developed by the team has a chassis that measures only 10 by 10 millimeters across and weighs about 1.1 grams. Interestingly, while carrying a payload as heavy as its own weight, the robot only loses about 25% of its peak speed. Here you can see a link to the video from YouTube, but it won't be available on YouTube to cite the source because they don't allow you to put links to links to other sites apparently, even if it's citing the source of where the article came from in the comments section. So this will only be available, that is, the link to this article will be available on Rumble, in which case then you can click on the link and go to the article, click on this, and I'll watch this as well. Now, the team also just suggested if a camera sensor is brought into the picture, the Millie Mobile could prove to be a potent device for tasks, site inspection, especially those where a human can be at risk. The robot is currently capable of moving towards a light source, but with introduction of an accelerometer, mobile-inspired wireless localization tech, Millie Mobile could offer navigation and feedback control too, challenging the power dynamics. Here's the picture that was talking about earlier. While the Millie Mobile is an impressive feat of robotics expertise, where it truly stands out is power system, or it puts more accurately, it doesn't require one that needs to be plugged into an external outlet to choose up the internal unit. Instead, the team at the University of Washington has armed it with solar panel inspired energy harvesting system. Interestingly, it's not solely reliant on sunlight. Instead, it can harvest the light falling on the board photodiodes, both from indoor as well as outdoor sources. This won't be the first machine of its kind. In 2022, scientists at the Indian Institute of Science, MANDI, announced the development of a photovoltaic material that can harness the light produced by the household appliances like LED lights and other similar sources. This material is touted to revolutionize the IoT, that is, the Internet of Things segment, covering smart home devices that need to communicate with other seamlessly using a hub or a remote device such as a smartphone or a tablet. Coming back to the Millie Mobile, its circuit board is equipped with a Bluetooth chip that operates at 2.4 gigahertz band and transmit data to control center up to 200 meters away. When operating in a cluster, the units have a higher harvested power act as receivers of data, while those of smaller power reserves as transmitters. And it says read the original article at /gear. And that will conclude our 3 article review. I do apologize that the second article was very short, but I didn't realize that when I picked it. But you're welcome to read the captions. I didn't read it. It's not all that important. So, I will pose the question to you. What do you think of those 3 articles? First one, namely, being the future of work 3. Excuse me, the first future of work, 3 ways automation and AI will change the job market. The second one being U.S. urge to work with technology leader China on transition to clean energy. And the third one is a teeny self-driving robot. This tiny robot, this tiny self-driving robot is has no batteries yet can run indefinitely. Here's how much your opinion has. Typo. What do you think of these articles? Are they informative? Are they interesting? Are they relevant to your life? You know, you're welcome to give your opinion in the comments below. Just keep in mind that there's 2 strict ground rules that must be followed for common sense and liability reasons. Number 1 is no derogatory languages. We're trying to keep this civil and contribute something productive and positive to this experience. Number 2 is no threatening language. When I say threatening language, I'm referring to physical threats of violence. I'm not talking about factual things like if you do this, if you mix this chemical with this chemical, you get this compound. If you throw a ball up in the air, it comes back down. Or if you mix coffee with chocolate, you get mocha. Not something like that, but something of threatening physical violence. If either one of those rules is impeded upon, then that user will be banned from commenting in the comments section. Just to let you know that in advance. Alright, I would like to thank you for watching this video, as I know it was informative for you, and it helped you with that. So, what I'd like you to do I'd like you to click the thumbs up or like on the channel. That way it'll be pushed to the algorithm and more people will be able to view it and benefit and be informed about the news. Also, if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. That way you'll have access to all the videos on my channel, as I do have a variety of content on my channel. And also, if you haven't already, please click the bell button. That way you'll be notified of all my future videos. I would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this review. I can wish you a great day wherever you are in the world. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.